Ah, Michelin. You know, the weird tyre mascot that everyone confuses for the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man? Yes, that one. Did you know that the Michelin star rating, the same one that sends chefs into a souffle of emotions, was created by two French dudes just trying to sell more tyres? Yes, you heard that right, tyres. The stars that people flex on Instagram with food pics are all part of a brilliant marketing strategy. Here's the kicker. Most people have no idea. We're out here flaunting our Michelin-starred dining experiences without realizing we're playing into one of the greatest marketing stunts in history. It's on the same level as De Beers convincing us that an engagement ring should cost 3 months' salary. And guess what? It worked. The Michelin brothers weren't just tyre moguls, they were marketing geniuses who had us driving all over the place just for a good steak. So how did Michelin manage to turn driving, which in the early 1900s was like the Fast and Furious but at much lower speeds, into a tyre-destroying fine dining adventure? Let's rewind to the early 1900s when driving was more of an extreme sport. Roads were basically dirt and mud pits, and cars? There were about 3,000 cars in all of France. That's fewer cars than the number of Teslas in a Whole Foods parking lot today. Imagine trying to drive back then. The experience was like a video game, but without any cheat codes. You'd be dodging potholes, rocks, and maybe a random horse and cart, just hoping you didn't blow a tyre in the middle of nowhere. Talk about Oregon Trail odds. So, as you can imagine, tyre sales were flatter than a pancake. If you were in the tyre business, like the Michelin brothers, André and Edouard, that was a huge problem. How do you sell tyres when no one is driving? That's when the Michelin brothers had their genius light bulb moment. They needed people to drive more. And what makes people get in their cars? Food. Enter the Michelin Guide. At first, it was nothing fancy, a basic survival manual for drivers. Think of it like the early 1900s version of Yelp, but without the angry one-star reviews. It showed drivers how to change a tyre, where to find mechanics, and where to sleep on those wild, bumpy roads. And here's where the magic happened. They included restaurant recommendations. Now, back in the day, food wasn't a major part of travel. People weren't hopping in their Model Ts for a burger and fries. The idea of a food-driven road trip was unheard of. But once people got wind of those tasty meals waiting just 100 miles down the road, they couldn't resist. Michelin had unlocked the secret. People love food, and they'll drive ridiculous distances just to taste something special. And as they drove, they wore down those precious tyres, exactly what the Michelin brothers wanted. Imagine telling someone today that there's a juicy steak waiting for them 100 miles away. You know they're getting in that car, firing up the GPS and cruising along, all while Michelin cashes in on every mile. But the real game changer came in 1926 when Michelin introduced the star system. They turned dining into a literal roadmap. 1 star for a good restaurant, 2 stars for a place worth a detour, and 3 stars for a spot so incredible you should plan your entire trip around it. It was like they were daring people to wear out their tyres, and people did. Take Auberge de Lille in Alsace. Drivers from Paris would travel over 300 miles, with 1930s car technology no less, just for a bite of that Michelin-starred magic. And then there was L'Ousto de Beaumanière in Provence, a place so remote that you'd probably think Google Maps was trolling you if you tried to get there today. But back then, it was the ultimate food pilgrimage, and Michelin knew it. Every trip meant worn-out tyres, and every worn-out tyre meant more money in their pockets. By the 1930s, Michelin stars had become culinary gold. Restaurants were desperate for them, and people were driving absurd distances for their next luxury meal. And Michelin, they were laughing all the way to the bank. In the 1930s, Michelin expanded their guide beyond France, turning it into the ultimate foodie Bible. Suddenly, chefs across Europe were dreaming of stars the way kids today dream of becoming TikTok influencers. And Michelin tyres? They were rolling off the shelves, literally. By the time the Michelin Guide hit the US in 2005, it was like the culinary equivalent of the Olympics. New York City went into full chaos mode. Chefs were obsessing, restaurants were panicking, and Michelin was basking in the glow of their starry empire. Here's a fun stat. In 2019, a survey showed that 61% of people would travel internationally just to dine at a Michelin-starred restaurant. Let that sink in. People are willing to book expensive flights, burn through jet fuel and land in a country they've never been to, just for a small plate of artfully arranged food. And all the while, Michelin tires are burning rubber, both on the road and in sales numbers. So people were dropping thousands of dollars for the chance to brag on Instagram about eating a Michelin star meal. Totally worth it, right? So, is the Michelin star system still relevant today? Some say it's stuck in the past, focusing too much on traditional cuisine. Others argue that a Michelin star is the ultimate achievement in the culinary world. And then, of course, there are conspiracy theories, whispers that Michelin has secret alliances with certain chefs, pulling strings to boost certain restaurants. Is it true? Let us know in the comments what you've heard. Regardless, one thing is clear. Michelin's marketing stunt worked. By 1930, they were the biggest tyre manufacturer in Europe. And today, they're still cruising, selling over 170 million tyres every year. That's a lot of food-driven road trips. So next time you're revving up for a road trip to your favourite Michelin-starred spot, don't forget to check those tyres. And if they're looking a little worn, well, you know who to call. Honestly, would you drive 300 miles for a meal? I know I would. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more entertaining stories, just like this one.